And if I am not mistaken, there are 4 winners right here, right?
That's right.
Victory Tuesday.
Victory
so
Tuesday.
lame. Everyone was like,
Well, no, I was starting to question when I saw your video. I was like, wait, did you lose this week? How did you lose?
She put up high score.
You were so,
on
I
all
know.
of us.
That's what I was saying. She was so, far up on Sunday. And so I'm thinking, what the heck happened last night that you could have possibly lost?
what in the heck?
What does that
in the
even
heck?
mean?
What
Let's
is
take a look at the
this?
scoreboard then and show you what we're talking about. Hollywood Inc.
yeah.
beating, read between the lines, Kane Brown, defeating him. Kane had a nice evening, weekend, whatever. And of course, what do we do? Oh,
MG unit, that low
Oh my
score.
gosh,
Are
FaZe
you going to
Clan.
ice him?
yeah, MG, what? The lowest score of the week?
Yeah. Did you have any?
We didn't have an
any
official
outstanding
decree,
decrees? Yeah.
but we should have something.
Oh, of course. How convenient when it's not my week to have the low score that there isn't an official decree where you get dumped with ice.
Yeah, whatever.
Wow,
hey,
that's
let's
so
take a look.
convenient.
That is very convenient.
commissioner-esque of you,
Thank
Adam.
you. Well, I appreciate you saying that. Let's take a look at one of those matchups because the Oracle, Candace Patton, our rookie, had a huge win this week, and she took out the fantasy football. Hi, guys. Hi, Beard Bros.
Hey.
Oh, no. The week that you send that in, you guys lose to Candace Patton. You lost to a celebrity. Somebody playing for the first time. I think it was Keenan Allen
Yeah.
who came through for her.
Keenan Allen
great.
keeps coming through. He keeps coming through every single week. You know, the last couple of weeks, he's finally started to pick it up. I know he kind of had a little bit of a mid-season lull here, but he's got 2 good games back-to-back with over 15 fantasy points. Got a touchdown last night, and basically these Chiefs defenders just had no chance at stopping him. He was just getting open at will last night. And, you know, I think we've kind of seen Keenan Allen be reestablished as Phillip Rivers' top option. And I know we were talking last night about Rivers throwing YOLO balls, and he threw quite a few.
That's all he
Yeah.
did.
But he got it to his guy Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen did get a lot of points, and then we saw that incredible catch by Mike Williams, who was on my bench, but
Oh, that's all right. He scored.
okay.
He scored less than 10 points. It's all right. By the way, I don't know if you saw this either. Speaking of punishments, Kyle Brandt had made a bet, so to speak, on Good Morning Football that if Keenan ever scored a touchdown against the Chiefs, because he had one in his career against them, that he would wear a jersey for a full week, all 3 hours of the show, and he's going to be paying up soon. And I didn't have it on Tuesday morning, but of course that'll be something to look forward to if you check out Good Morning Football. But let's talk about another matchup. Your host and commissioner, the only person qualified to slap down Team AEW. Sorry, Cody and Brandy
No, he's
Rhodes. I'm sorry that I had to go out there and defeat. It was honestly a close contest. Travis Kelce, who has been kind of, I don't want to say scuffling along. I drafted him in the first round, and to be perfectly truthful, he hasn't quite lived up to that billing that we thought he was going to be at the beginning of the season. But the thing is, it's kept me out of the dumpster fire of that position of having to stream people. And I feel as long as you go out there, and I got fortunate with some picks like Cooper Kupp and Calvin Ridley, so it kind of helped me out build a little bit of depth at the receiver position that I would have missed out by not drafting Michael Thomas or somebody like that.
There's so much merit to not having to worry about your tight end spot in fantasy. Yeah,
It is. It
everybody
honestly-
else is
You're telling me?
yeah, I intentionally took my mic out while Adam was talking because I knew that he was going to throw a diss out about my
I wasn't.
My
no, no,
tight
no.
end.
I wasn't dissing Hunter Henry. Well, that's the thing.
Not
Team
yet.
AEW had Hunter Henry and the Chiefs defense, and at some point had pulled ahead. And I was not having a good time. I was sweating it up in the fantasy lounge. And of course, Travis Kelce scored that touchdown. And I'm like, oh, I feel a little bit better about myself. Now, the next one we want to talk about, Taylor.
Yes.
Huge win over
It was.
Desi Banks.
And I was a little worried.
That's a big score,
It was
133.
It was one of my highest scores that I've scored all season, and I was really nervous about playing DJ Chark. It was, Nick Foles' first game back, and I didn't know if he was really going
It's
to
impossible not
perform
to.
the way that he had before, but he had 104 receptions, 2 touchdowns, just over 33 fantasy points. He was my high scorer this week, and it's not really one that I would have expected to go off the way that he did. So, very
How
happy
did Foles
with that.
look? I missed this. This is
He looked
one I
great.
haven't caught up on yet. but-
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him in Chicago next year. That's what about you, Graham?
You're trying to will every quarterback to Chicago
gosh.
at this point.
I'll take Andy Dalton at this point. What are we talking about?
That bad out there?
Yes.
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 It is. Yeah, look, I beat Charles this week and finally got a great game out of John Brown. I spotted Charles a 0 from Tyreek Hill last night because he missed most of that game with a hamstring injury. But John Brown was fantastic this past week against the Dolphins. Just went off for over 30 fantasy points, had his best game of the year. And I think this is just something we've sort of expected, right? Is the Dolphins they can't cover anybody. John Brown is the Bills' clear #1 receiver, and he has so much speed. It was going to be a good game for him, but obviously he just took the lid off this entire
And not to
entire
mention
game.
just Josh Allen's arm and the way that he does just sling it down the field to get to John Brown. He's been a high scorer a lot. And same with Josh Allen. He's surprisingly one of the top scoring quarterbacks.
Real quick, is it time to move on from John Brown because that schedule gets a little bit more difficult?
Yeah, they play the Patriots, Bills. They have a really tough schedule. I think it's probably a good time to sell high if you have them.
If you got
Speaking of the Patriots, Ricky Hollywood, high score. All right, give me the highest of fives. Look at that, beating Kane Browns.
See the way that we
Reader-
all
Hold
celebrate
on, we're
for
not
her?
there yet. Come here, sit down.
Wait, where's she going?
Let's talk about your high. What about Zach Ertz? You've had kind of sit down, please. You've had kind of a love-hate relationship with Zach Ertz. Where are we?
You talked about the streaming issues with tight ends, and tight ends in general have been a little bit tricky. And so I was like, oh, I got Zach Ertz. I got one of the top 3. I should be good. He has been mediocre, but the last 2 games he's had over 90 receiving yards. Why are you laughing?
Because the tape
just showed
It's him
Ertz whiffing.
on stuff, getting dropped behind the line of scrimmage.
This is what kind of footage is this? Who pulled this?
Zach Ertz had a good game this week.
He got 18 fantasy points. He's gotten over 90 plus receiving yards in the past 2 consecutive games, and he had not done that through weeks 1 through whatever -2 games are.
We got you.
You know what I mean?
We got you.
Yeah.
So it's like, he's fine. He's fine.
He's fine.
Something
yes.
else that was interesting is that Goddard actually scored a lot of points too, and so you can tell that they really are using their tight ends a lot.
They love to
Thanks.
use the two tight end sets there in Philadelphia. Okay, Ricky.
Take your time.
You go do it. Do what you
Okay.
gotta do.
Where are you going?
She's the
pulling out
high
her
scorer
map.
of the week, so of course you get
Just
to
gonna
adorn
put
the
this in
studio
my
with
room.
swag.
All
Oh
right.
God.
Well,
And-
I just wanted to be tasteful because.
So are you gonna put this over Adam's face?
Whoa,
It's
that is uncool.
I get
That
to.
is-
Wow.
I'm just gonna.
Okay.
Oh, just don't touch my Jimmy photo, and I'm happy.
Okay.
And
That
just
is-
give this to me, please.
No,
It's the
no.
rules. I didn't make them.
Yep, that's true. Thank you. Hey, I'm playing the fantasy footballers this week. Do you want me to win? Mind the Cutler bobblehead,
No,
please.
put the
Thank
Cutler
you.
bobblehead
Thank you.
down there.
All right.
on TV, guys.
Mind,
Thank you.
mind
All right.
the Cutler bobblehead, the Patriots. Very good.
Wow. I never thought
That
this day would
looks
come.
beautiful.
And I mean, I
a
really
shout out to
never
my
thought
shoes.
this day would come.
Very nice. No,
I asked them to take off the big 12-foot by 8-foot Tom Brady poster from the TA set, but they said they needed a mechanic to take it off the wall.
Oh,
so we
that
didn't have
makes
enough
sense.
time to get it for today's show. So I just,
So for
I
next
knitted
show.
that myself.
Well, that's
right
very
in time.
good. All right, well, let's take a look at the standings right now and see what happened while we're sitting here celebrating our victories. And oh my gosh, I'm
Oh
so
gosh,
sorry.
somebody, please.
I'm so sorry. Candace and I think people who are regular viewers of the show are just like, did they just automatically have Candace and Rank's photos just
She has not lost that top spot at any point this year, has she?
No.
not that I can remember.
Yeah.
And I do believe, and listen, that was a huge win by Candace because the fantasy footballers are you're within striking distance, you've got an outside shot.
What we need to do this week is you need to tank.
Whoa.
You need to tank.
To make
I
it
don't-
more
whoa,
interesting,
wait,
spice things
hey.
up.
Tank this week because you're playing
whoa.
Ricky.
Take one for
Get
the
Ricky a
team.
win.
Yeah, get me a win.
There's a couple of things.
let's put some
there's a
pressure
couple
on
of
those
things
guys.
at foot here. Now, number one, I have Travis Kelce.
you want
He's
to
on a bye this week.
oh.
I don't want to drop anybody from my roster, so I'm almost of the mind of like, I'm not going to pick up a tight end. And Lamar Jackson has done such a great job for us, but we know what we have in him. I think it would be a perfect opportunity to, I don't know, let's say bring Mitch Trubisky to the rank and file. And
What
no,
are
no, no.
you talking
we want
about?
to get Mitch Trubisky some reps on my fantasy team this week.
What are you
I think that's a
talking
great
about?
idea. I think it's really.
Okay, at some point we'll explain this to Taylor. It's a way of tanking without tanking. Anyways, It would be kind of like streaming.
Who's
If
playing
you were
the
streaming a
footballers?
quarterback. Graham, why don't you explain to the folks at home what streaming means?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's just like your conundrum this week, right? If you're without Travis Kelce, you got to go to the waiver wire and pick up a tight end that's in a good matchup. And you can do this every single week with positions like defense and quarterback. It's almost optimal every single week to maybe pick up the best defense based on the matchup. For example, this week the Browns are widely available, and they get the Dolphins. So that's probably a good call to maybe pick up your defense every week off the wire.